The whole idea of rebooting a franchise with a new director and new actors and whole new creative approach was kind of unheard of.
And I think that they could have gone one of two ways. Way one was, let's play it safe. And way two was, let's just completely and totally entrust somebody to take this and make it their own.
Warner's is looking to make another Batman film, and I was like, I don't think there's any world in which Chris would be interested in that. And he was like, no, that's really exciting, because I've always thought there was a Batman story that hasn't been told on film.
The pitch that Chris had was it was quick. It was 10 or 15 minutes, but it was so holistic. And it really was Batman Begins.
Chris came in and said, look, this is what I want to do in the movie. This is what I want to do with it visually. This is where I think the character needs to go. I think it's going to be different than any superhero movie anybody's seen before. And we looked at each other and I said, look, if you're going to back a guy off a pitch, I think this is a guy to do it with.
Chris, at that point, had only really made 3 feature films. You have to hand it to the Suits for saying, well, I'd rather go with someone who has absolute clarity and confidence in what they're doing than someone who's basically just going to sit at the table and give us exactly what we expect. Because we tried that before, and it didn't really work.
To hear that Christopher Nolan was doing it, that made me very excited.
That's the real leap that happened when Batman Begins came out. This is definitely not made in a boardroom. This is like someone's point of view on this.
We weren't making a movie necessarily to drive consumer products. Even to the extent that we weren't really making a Batman movie, we were making a Chris Nolan movie.
Let's pretend you don't read comic books, never picked one up in your life. You're a dude who only watches movies. It's 1966. Batman is a zany cartoon character that kids love. He is a quirky sidekick and punches clowns in the face. It's 1989, and Batman is the gothic pulp figure of the night, the symbol of darkness, the cutting edge of fucking cool. I'm Batman. It's 1992, and Batman is dark. Too dark. He punches abused, psychotic animal lovers in the face without ever really growing or evolving. But more importantly, he doesn't sell McDonald's toys, and little Timmy's mom is mad.
Took her claws and played tic-tac-toe in a man's face with all the McDonald's toys. It's making it sound like it is for kids, and it's not.
It's 1995, and Batman is insane. He's an acid trip, the good kind. He's colorful, brooding, and super into rubber. So is Nicole Kidman.
Black rubber.
He's back on top. It's 1997, and Batman is a joke.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
He sells a lot of toys.
Keep it more family-friendly, more kid-friendly, and a word I had never heard before, more toyetic.
But critics and moviegoers can't seem to get behind something this goofy, this sexy, and this out there.
She wants to kill you, dick.
It's 2000, and Batman is dead in the most poetic way possible. Warner fought so hard to get Batman taken seriously, to get Batman to the point where the world worshipped him, recognized him as the dark symbol of justice that comic readers knew he could be, and they succeeded. But then, as all wonderful and wonderfully original things tend to do, the franchise got corrupted by greed. The studio execs sacrificed creative visions for voluptuous product sales. And Batman was once again a zany cartoon character. So how in the shit did Batman Begins get made? How did we go from to this in 7 years? How did we go from a greedy, commercial, cash-grabbing machine to the unique perspective of an artist? A perspective that is still being emulated by Hollywood today. A unique take on the character that would raise the bar not just for the Batman franchise, not just for the superhero movie, but for blockbuster filmmaking as a whole. It starts with that artist. Wait, what the hell was that?
Riddle me this. What do you need when you get hacked by someone filled with greed?
Eddie Enigma from our lackluster Robin fan film. I killed you like I killed the dreams of a sequel.
You. I traced your IP address, hacked into your computer, stole your credit card information, threw you into crippling debt, and interrupted your shitty video.
Damn, that really sucks.
Answer the damn riddle.
ExpressVPN.
Correct. Good boy. Without a VPN, you might as well be as dumb as that Batman. Your internet service providers are schemers, so why leave it up to luck? They can access all of your browsing data and sell it for a quick buck. ExpressVPN has the cure by keeping your data ultra secure. All it takes is a little click, you worthless prick.
And I'm sure my viewers would agree. Now, can you let me free.
One more thing before I go out like a king. Want to watch The Dark Knight any night? It isn't on the US Netflix, but with this simple fix, ExpressVPN can unlock blocked streaming content in a jiff. See ya, chump.
Sorry about that, guys. Sometimes my insecurities manifest themselves as weird incel takes on fictional Batman villains, but the moral of the story here is that you can get 3 months of ExpressVPN for free by clicking the link in the description box below. That's expressvpn.com/HiTop Films. Keep your information secure, watch whatever you want with ease with ExpressVPN. You got this guy, Christopher Edward Nolan. Chris loves stories. He went to school for English literature. That's cool. But what's even cooler is that when he was just 27 years old, he wrote, directed, shot, and edited his first feature film. That's not easy. Following, the budget was a minuscule $6,000 US. Following ended up making $48,482. There is a Batman symbol in Following. The modest success of Following allowed Nolan to make Memento. The budget was $9 million. It made $39.7 million and was nominated for 2 Academy Awards. The year is 2001. Chris's second film is nominated for 2 Academy Awards. Batman and Robin had come out 4 years prior. The wild acclaim of Memento allowed Nolan to make Insomnia. It was by far his most Hollywood film with an A-list cast and a budget of $46 million. It made $113.8 million at the box office. The year is 2002. That same year, Darren Aronofsky's adaptation of Batman Year One was canceled. The screenplay was written by Aronofsky and Frank Miller and would have starred Joaquin Phoenix. You can read it online. In fact, there have been an overwhelming number of canceled Batman projects by 2002. Batman Unchained, the Schumacher-directed sequel to Batman and Robin that would have brought back Nicholson, DeVito, Pfeiffer, and introduced us to the Scarecrow played by Nick Cage. Speaking of Scarecrow, we got Batman Dark Knight, a sequel, reboot, both, to Batman and Robin, where Bruce is a depressed hermit who has put down the cape and cowl after realizing that waving around a Bat credit card does not strike terror into the hearts of criminals like it used to. Speaking of depressed, I'm really depressed because a Paul Dini-written live-action Batman Beyond script was shelved in 2001. Speaking of 2001, add 1 to 2001, and you know what you got? You got 2002. The same year, Andrew Kevin Walker and Akiva Goldman had a script for Asylum, a Batman v Superman film starring Colin Farrell and Jude Law where Batman's wife gets killed by a Joker bee. Speaking of bees, the point of this BS rant is to say for whatever reason, none of those projects came to be. For whatever reason, Warner decided to back this young filmmaker with 3 movies under his belt. They decided to give this man full support and $150 million, all because of a 15-minute pitch. I can't say I know why. Maybe it was the fact that all his movies had made money. Maybe it was the fact that by the time he was 30, he had a film that was nominated for 2 Academy Awards. Or maybe it was the damn color of his goddamn tie he wore that day. What matters is that Warner trusted this man to reset the entire franchise. They decided to trust Christopher Nolan in redefining Batman. And the rest is history. You get it, I get it, we get it, my dog gets it. Good joke, everybody laugh. Batman Begins is damn good. If you expected me to come out with a hot take, there is none to be had. It's not underrated, it's perfectly rated, it's not overlooked. People love and value this movie. There is no hyperbole when I say that every big budget studio movie made after Batman Begins is in some way influenced for better or worse by Batman Begins. I wrote a fucking research paper on this in high school. Man of Steel tried to be Batman Begins. The Amazing Spider-Man tried to be Batman Begins. Fucking Tarzan tried to be Batman Begins. The execs with those deep pockets are still trying to crack why this film worked, why the entire Dark Knight Trilogy worked, but it's always been pretty simple. This is a Christopher Nolan movie. This is Christopher Nolan's unique take on the icon of Batman. This is Nolan's take on the character of Bruce Wayne. Batman Begins is a deconstruction of Batman's beginning and a character study of Bruce Wayne. Now that may seem like the obvious armchair intellectual approach. Oh wow, what a fucking genius auteur. He made a Batman movie that's about Batman. But like, nobody had really done that before. In live action, Mask of the Phantasm is still by far the best Batman movie. Feel free to at me on Twitter or my Instagram. This was the 5th live action Batman film, but the only one that dares, that has the balls to be about Bruce Wayne. I always joke that Batman Returns is my favorite Catwoman movie, but seriously, Batman Returns, the theatrical cut of Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin are all about the villains. They are the circus show, and Batman is the ringmaster. Nolan and co-writer David Goyer completely flipped that by making this a Bruce Wayne movie.
It was important to us that the audience be really invested in Bruce Wayne and not just marking time anytime he was on screen until he would put on the cape and the cowl.
Everything, and I mean Wayne everything is centered around getting the audience to empathize and care for Bruce Wayne. From the first frame to the last, every aesthetic choice, every action, every reaction, every flashback, every villain, every supporting character is used to further develop and put us into the mind of Bruce. Everything is in service of getting the audience to understand exactly why someone in our world, or at least a heightened version of our world, would dress up like a bat in order to save his city and in order to feel whole. That's where this idea of being grounded, of being realistic, comes into play. These movies are often called the realistic take on Batman, but most people don't really get what that means.
It's not necessarily about a direct reality, because I think the films are extremely heightened and they're extremely operatic, but it's about what I suppose you might term as cinematic reality. It's about giving the world of the films and the characters as much weight and validity as they would if your source material were not a comic book.
So how do you make a superhero film cinematically real? I have no idea. My short films range from pretentious and bad to just bad, but if I had to take a guess, I would say that following the path set by Richard Donner's classic Superman film would go a long way in helping you achieve that believability.
One of the things that made that film so epic was the great casting. What these great actors bring is a sense of three-dimensional reality, the sense of a real world in which Bruce Wayne is functioning.
This cast, man, there's not much else to say. Any actor has a lot of work to do in matching the pure screen presence that Michael Caine brings to Alfred and the pure humanity that Gary Oldman brings to James Jimbo Jimmy Gordon. Oldman's Gordon is the heart of these movies. Anytime a scene or conflict or line may be a tad too cliche, too grand, or too Gordon immediately sends the film slamming back down to earth. Bruce Wayne may be the hero Gotham deserves, but Gordon is the one that Gotham needs. A father and a husband who just wants to make his city a safer place for his family. A good cop in a city full of apathetic, tiny dick, greaseball flasses.
I have kids to feed. Well, you don't like falafel?
A good man who has the empathy to tell a little boy something nobody else cared to.
It's okay.
This is Gordon's first scene, and we immediately trust him. We immediately know that he is the man who cares about the victim when the rest of the department cares about getting the guy.
Good news. We got him, son.
But what's most important here, something I think a lot of people overlook, is that Bruce immediately trusts him. He immediately has this connection to Gordon. This small moment of wrapping the coat, draping the cape over a young boy's shoulders to make him feel safe, not only plants the seeds for their eventual partnership, but also for the man Bruce will become. Bruce will remember the warmth Gordon made him feel. He'll remember that empathy and kindness rather than the aggression and violence. If this boy shall become a bat, then this moment with Gordon shaped him into becoming the man. But how do you make that Batman himself realistic? Well, I think you have to boil down what makes Batman Batman. What makes this guy tick? And how can you make the villains of the movie representations of Bruce's internal conflict? The internal conflict that is also the theme of the film.
Nothing to fear but fear itself.
Fear. The first scene in the movie establishes Bruce's fear. The first frame of the freaking film shows us what that fear will do to Bruce. The first line spoken by Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne is nightmare. And everything that follows is a boy growing up and learning to overcome that fear, the fear that led him to experience the ultimate trauma.
Wallace, Joey, my best.
This is my favorite on-screen Wayne death by far. It feels the most real to me. If a mugger had a gun to your family, you wouldn't try to punch him in the damn face. You wouldn't grab the pearls he's trying to steal. You would give him everything you had and then some. You would try to remain calm, try to empathize with him, try anything to protect your wife and child.
It's fine. It's fine. Take it and go.
But Joe Chill is the one who is terrified, and that fear causes him to causes him to leave that boy in the alley, leave him alone without hope, and leave him with just these words.
Don't be afraid.
But Bruce is afraid. He's afraid and angry, so angry that he spends the next decade of his life consumed by that anger and fantasizing about vengeance.
This man killed my parents.
I cannot let that pass.
And when he finally gets the chance to do it, get even, he doesn't really hesitate. He's nervous, he knows what this will do, but he doesn't care. All he can think about is the pain he has felt since that night in the alley, since his parents were lost, taken away from him. Chill is gone, killed by Falcone's corrupt Gotham, but if Falcone had failed, it would have been Bruce that had done it.
All these years I wanted to kill him. Now I can't.
Bruce was driven by that fear and trauma to become someone he was not. He was controlled by his fear, just as Joe Chill was, just as the citizens of Gotham are.
Create enough hunger and everyone becomes a criminal.
Fear breeds desperation, and being desperate in a system in a city that does not care, that does not help but instead exploits, creates new Joe Chills every day. And instead of continuing to be consumed by vengeance and controlled by fear, Bruce decides to toss those feelings into the river along with his gun. Nolan so quickly and without a word of dialogue visually conveys to us why Batman has his one rule, why gunning down the desperate, the powerless makes him just as bad, if not worse, than they are. Instead of trying to kill those who are corrupted by the powerful of Gotham, Bruce decides to confront that power head on. But that power has some wise words for him.
Now you think because your mommy and your daddy got shot, you know about the ugly side of life, but you don't. You've never tasted desperate. This is a world you never understand, and you always fear what you don't understand.
And this is the moment that Bruce truly changes. Rachel is right, Falcone is right. He cannot possibly understand the man who killed his parents. He can't even imagine what they have gone through, what they go through every night. He's a damn rich kid who was born in the Regency room of Wayne Manor. He's never felt the fear that they feel, and he can never hope to stop it if he can't understand it, if he can't at least try to empathize with it. So he gives it all up. Bruce Wayne goes into the fire along with his scarf and leather wallet, and someone else emerges. Someone who tries to understand the poor, the anguished. And by taking this route with Bruce, spending almost half the runtime getting us to understand exactly why he leaves Gotham, exactly why he has his no killing rule, we immediately buy more into his story. We believe this could happen because we understand Bruce Wayne. We understand that fear because what Batman Begins is really about, to me, is analyzing our own fears as a society and how we cope with them. Do we manipulate the fears of others for success? Do we fetishize it and get a weird, kinky sense of joy from it? Are we apathetic towards it and think those who are afraid are weaker than us and not worth understanding? Or do we use that fear that we all feel, that pain we have all felt, and turn it into a symbol for good, or at least our idea of what good can be? Do we use that fear, that crippling anxiety and trauma that define all of us in some way to shake those around us out of apathy?
People need dramatic examples to shake them out of apathy, and I can't do that as Bruce Wayne. As a man, I'm flesh and blood. I can be ignored, I can be destroyed, but as a symbol, I can be incorruptible. I can be everlasting.
But in order to become that symbol, Bruce must descend back into his own trauma, embrace that trauma as a part of himself. Turn that trauma into the symbol. At pretty much the exact hour mark, we get our first Batman scene in Batman Begins, and by far my favorite adaptation of the classic Batman stealthily taking down 15 goons ever put to film. It's terrifying in all the right ways. It's tension-filled. It's fun. And so cathartic.
Where are you?
It's perfect and perfectly balanced.
I'm Batman.
The entire film has built to this. We have been waiting for this, waiting for these words, and hearing them makes everyone clap. It makes everyone of every age smile and say,
"Fuck yeah, he's fucking Batman."
But it's even more than that. The entire film we have seen Gotham as this pit of desperation, this sinkhole of hell, a place where good men and women suffer every night and those who give a damn are cast aside, murdered in cold blood. But now there is someone, something that can make a difference. Something that uses fear against those who prey on the fearful, uses that fear to inspire those who have suffered. Fuck me. Marty would call this cinema. Is it a hot take to say that Batman Begins is, without a doubt, the best Batman movie in the trilogy? Not that The Dark Knight is a bad Batman movie. In fact, I think it's a much better film, but Batman Begins just feels like Batman to me, more Batman to me, most Batman to me, and that's in no small part thanks to the filmmaking. But that's for next time. I'm trying something new. Watching a 40-minute video is a lot, so I decided to split it into 2. We also have been shooting our new short, so editing that and this at once makes me need some emotional support. Next time, more Batman Begins, the filmmaking, the insane behind the scenes, and how this all came together to be my favorite live-action take on the Caped Crusader. Now I need to go get some sleep and count the damn sheep. Why am I rhyming?